Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blue Who Review. Today we're going to be going over the other moments in Doctor Who history that almost made the show completely dematerialise from our screens. If you haven't seen part 1 then make sure to check it out after the video, link in description. A lot of controversies surrounding Doctor Who take place all the time, but rarely do they end up on the front page of Doctor Who magazine. The Paradigm Daleks are a bold new move for the soft reboot in 2010. The failure of the continuation of the Paradigm Daleks has meant we have seen the same old Bond Daleks appear over and over and over and over and over again, being the longest running Dalek design from 2005 right up to now, having lasted 18 years. Some fans hit the internet to complain, saying how the Paradigm Daleks were not scary at all, with big sheep eye stalks, calling them names such as Rainbow Daleks and the Teletubby Daleks. Despite polls, including my own, on a post I did about them 5 years ago, which shows they were more popular than not, Stephen Moffat decided to phase them out. It was decided they would be keeping the Bronze Daleks as standard class and the Paradigm Daleks as officer class, as can be seen in the Asylum of the Daleks. There were plans originally for these Daleks, however. As can be seen on the backs of the Daleks, they have an additional weapon. According to official Doctor Who directors, it was a weapon which would later be revealed in a future episode. Andrew Gunner, the director of Series 5, Episode 3, said, "This one has got a lot more capability from a weapons point of view. You will see from the back of the Dalek is a series of flaps, and basically each of one of those come out." He later went on to say, "And you can see around the top of the body, the laser gun can disappear and a new gun can come out. Each Dalek was diagnosed as a specific purpose, such as scientist and strategist, with one being called the Eternal. This was a secret that was meant to be revealed later, but of course never was." 10 years later, on the 1st of March 2020, a far more controversial moment happened, which is still raw and causes huge debate just at the name, the Timeless Child. First mentioned in the Ghost Monument in 2018 October, the Timeless Child was just thought to be a throwaway comment until the Master left a message for the Doctor in the following series, revoking part of her lost memory. It wasn't until the finale, in which it was revealed the Doctor was the Timeless Child, which means she did not originate from Gallifrey presumably, and that the first Doctor, William Hartnell, was indeed not the first. Despite what was going on globally, a lot of fans were still outraged with what already was quite a controversial era of the show, with the BBC feeling the need to give a response. They said, "Doctor Who is a beloved long-running series, and we understand that some people will feel attached to a particular idea they have of the Doctor, or that they enjoy certain aspects of the programme more than others. Opinions are strong, and this is indicative of the imaginative hold that Doctor Who has, that so many people engage with on it so many different levels. We wholeheartedly support the creative freedom of the writers, and we feel the creating of an origin story is a staple of science fiction writing. What was written does not alter the flow of the stories from William Hartnell's brilliant Doctor onwards, it just adds new layers and possibilities to the ongoing saga. We have received many positive reactions to the episode's cliffhanger. There are still a lot of questions to be answered, and we hope that you will come back to join us and see what happens. But we appreciate that it's impossible to please all our viewers all the time, and your feedback has been raised with the programme's executive producer." Even Stephen Moffat came out in support of the Timeless Child story arc, saying, "Doctor Who never fits. Who says what's canon? One episode, the show says William Hartnell is the first Doctor, another he's not." With Nicholas Briggs, voice of the Daleks most famously, and others saying, "Imagine how people felt back in 1969 when it was suddenly revealed the Doctor was a Time Lord, and that he'd run away, and he'd stolen the TARDIS, and now they put him on trial. And what was it? In 1977, the Deadly Assassin, the whole thing about Time Lords. People went bonkers about that." Famously, the head of the Doctor Who fan club at the time, Keith Miller, arch rival to Peter Capaldi, he closed the fan club down because he was so appalled by this. But you know, Doctor Who changes all the time. That whole business of Doctor Who rewriting itself and reinventing new things, that's old news. That's happened all the time. Bouncing back 9 years now to the Matt Smith era once again, we have the involvement of the rightly hated dictator Hitler in Let's Kill Hitler. Even before the episode aired, controversy began straight away when the trailer's first premiering at Comic-Con in 2011 showed Hitler saying to the Doctor, "Thank you, I think you have just saved my life." Naturally, this caused an uproar, seeing as the Doctor, who is so against genocide, seemingly saved Hitler, allowing him to continue the slaughter of millions of innocent lives. Stephen Moffat came out and said unequivocally, "We're against Hitler," then going on to say, "I think he was a bad thing and I'm glad he's gone. The worst thing you could do to that awful man is to take the mickey out of him on Doctor Who. We're not really going to save Hitler, he's already dead." With the BBC source saying, "The Doctor meets Hitler in 1938 before he commits war crimes. Viewers should wait and watch, and all will become clear." Despite the episode airing and the true reason for the Doctor meeting Hitler being revealed, it is still to this day deemed controversial, as just the presence of him in Doctor Who is controversial enough on its own. Even when the show's off-air during the wilderness years in the 90s, controversial moments still took place. Dimensions in Time was a charity special crossover between EastEnders and Doctor Who, which took place between the 26th and 27th of November 1993. This special had a range of reasons as to why it's hated, including the low budget, poor effects, and EastEnders crossover. It also did not help that John Nathan Turner was involved in the creation of this either. John Nathan Turner is an extremely controversial figure whose controversy that spread across the 80s of Doctor Who still is felt today, far more than what Chris Chibnall has ever done. His controversies range from having a heavy influence on the creativity of Tom Baker and his costume in his last season, making the Doctor violent in Vengeance on Varos by allowing two people to drown in an acid bath and making a joke of it, as well as Attack of the Sidemen, where he brutally shoots the Sideman and where the Sidemen crush a man's hands to a bloody death, with Mary Whitehouse calling it tea time brutality for kids. Forcing the question marks upon each Doctor's outfit, as well as allowing a major change in the title sequence and theme to happen. He was also blamed for the cancellation of Doctor Who for the quality of seasons under his reign and him attending far too many conventions instead of focusing on the show, as well as doing theatre shows / pantomimes at the time of Doctor Who filming. There has also been claims he got a bit frisky with some of the younger male fans, aged 17 and over. These are just some of the reasons he's considered controversial with some fans, and he died in 2002, so never got to hear or see the revival of New Who, which you all know and love today. Speaking of the revival, the early departure of Christopher Eccleston is very well known to be because of the breakdown of his relationship between him, Russell T Davies, and a few other high-ups. Little is known about the key details. However, speaking to Evening Standard in 2010, Eccleston stated that he didn't enjoy the environment and culture that we, the cast and crew, had to work in, and that he did not want to do anything based on the experience. He added, "I wasn't comfortable." He also said at a different stage, "What happened around Doctor Who almost destroyed my career," he says. "I gave him a hit show and I left with dignity, and then they put me on a blacklist. I was carrying my own insecurities as it was something I had never done before, and then I was abandoned, vilified in the tabloid press and blacklisted. I was told by my agent at the time, the BBC regime is against you. You're going to have to get out of the country and wait for the regime change." I agreed with Russell that I would go, quietly and respectfully, and I would look after the show publicity-wise, in terms of publicising it. And then, without saying anything to me, they announced that I was leaving. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. They created a quote, and they attributed it to me, which said I was tired. It has also been said he got into a disagreement with others on set due to a scene which involved a falling sofa which was on fire and nearly hit someone. Since his departure, he's not appeared back on the TV show, even though he was asked to return for the 50th anniversary, therefore the War Doctor was created. He has only recently started to do audio dramas with Big Finish and doing meet and greets at conventions, although he does not believe he has been distant from the show before this. So, were these right to be controversial? Well, starting off with the Paradigm Daleks, which I very fittingly have worn the t-shirt for, I personally don't think that the Paradigm Daleks should have been controversial as they were. I mean, I can understand why people didn't like them, the multicolouredness and the bulkiness. It doesn't look good, especially when they go on their sides. But it would have been really interesting to see how these Paradigm Daleks would have panned out, what the Eternal was, what their storyline would have been. So I don't believe they should have been controversial, and I don't believe Stephen Moffat should have phased them out. I feel like if he had the idea, he should have continued with it. So it's very disappointing that they didn't continue. Next, the Timeless Child. Now, this is very controversial, but for me personally, I never minded it. I mean, it's not like they're rewriting William Hartnell and getting rid of him and all other doctors. It's just the stuff before. I know some people are very passionate about it, and I can understand why. But for me, I never really minded the Timeless Child thing, and it doesn't look like it's going to influence Doctor Who too heavily now Russell T Davies has moved over. It might get a mention, but I don't think it's going to change Doctor Who that much. So for me personally, I don't really mind the Timeless Child thing. Then next, we're going back to the Matt Smith era with Let's Kill Hitler. I mean, I do understand why. Hitler was a very bad person, and that's putting it mildly. I obviously nobody likes Hitler. I don't like Hitler, but I do feel like the Doctor is a time traveller. He/she would have seen and met Hitler eventually, so it's bound to happen at some stage. But I can understand why people feel so passionate about seeing Hitler in Doctor Who. But luckily, you know, the Doctor didn't save Hitler as what was suggested, and he still dies, and history still happens. So yeah, so I can understand why that one's controversial. Then moving on to Dimensions in Time, I liked it. I mean, I can see why people don't like it, but I don't take it as anything canon, obviously. It's just something really silly that was made in the wilderness years, but I enjoy it, so I don't see it as controversial. Now, John Nathan Turner, I can't really speak about because I don't know too much about him, although I am currently reading the book about him, which is really interesting. I'm really enjoying. So I will do a video about him eventually, but I can't really say much about John Nathan Turner, so it's a bit difficult to see. I can see why he's controversial, and I don't agree with some of the things he's done, but like I said, I'm currently reading about him and finding more about him, so I can't really say much about that. And the same goes with the Christopher Eccleston thing. Obviously, I was never there, I'm not part of it, and this is something that sort of happened outside of Doctor Who, so I don't feel like it's my place to comment really, because I don't know what happened or what's gone down and what's been said. So yeah, so that I can't comment on either. But some really interesting things there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And as you may know, I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers and I'm currently at 66, so I'm getting there, which is really good. I'm so thankful, so thank you so much, everyone. But yeah, when I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to try fish fingers and custard for this first time, which I'm so excited about. So if you would like to see that happen, and if you like the video, then please do subscribe. And hopefully see you in my next video soon. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Thank you.